Tonight, the topics that we're going to cover is we're going to dissect the perceptual ability test, or the PAT, as well as the reading comprehension test. So I'll cover most of the PAT stuff, and then Michelle will talk mostly about reading comprehension. We'll end with talking about some common general test-taking strategies for multiple choice exams, and then we'll both share how we studied for the DAT, including our own timelines. All right, so I'll start with the PAT. The PAT has 6 different sections: keyhole, top front end, Engel ranking, hole punching, cube counting, and pattern folding. And I think when a lot of people get to this section, it's kind of freaks a lot of people out because, you know, it's not science, it's not something that they're used to studying for. And I think a lot of people are like, yeah, no, like you're either good at it or you're not. And that's not the truth. The truth is that you really can study for this section. And there's so many different strategies out there. We'll share some of them tonight. But I'm sure you'll learn about some of them later while you're studying on your own for the PAT. But just know that you can study for this section and you can improve your score. All right, so first things first, setting up your board. When you walk into the DAT, they're going to give you 2 plastic laminated sheets, and they're wet erase boards, so you can't really like erase them on your own. So use your space sparingly. You can ask for replacement boards once you've filled boards, but it's a timed exam, so you don't really want to do that. Use your time at the end of natural sciences. So if you finish natural sciences early, you can set up your board before you even get to the PAT. And what I mean by setting up your board is drawing 15 tic-tac-toe, like 4x4 grids, and 5 T-charts. And we'll get to why this is important in a little bit. All right? So keyhole. I love this section, and it kind of brings me back to, like, you know, watching those like weird game shows, like this Japanese game show where they're like, you know, moving their bodies around, trying to fit themselves through the hole. Because that game show parallels exactly what you're trying to do in keyhole. You're given a 3D object, and your goal is to match it to one of the like the 2D cutouts, so that you can get that object perfectly through that keyhole. All right, so you want to be paying attention to proportions. They're going to be trying to trip you up with giving you something slightly longer or slightly shorter, and you have to kind of rationalize in your own head, okay, what's the exact proportion that's going to fit through that keyhole. And also look at the relative locations of protrusion. So if you have a triangle coming out of like the top versus the middle versus, you know, like this side versus that side, you really want to like keep like those relative locations of those objects in mind. All right, so some common strategies. Your goal here is really to go 3D to 2D. So if you're really good at visualizing, you know, good for you. If you're not, then we've got some other methods for you. So crushing method is going like either like top from bottom or like side to side, and you're just trying to squeeze that 3D object into a 2D object, if you can work that out in your head. The other method that you can use is like imagine like an object, and if you get like a flashlight looking at the reflection behind that. So this object right here, if you shine the flashlight coming from this direction, you're going to get a circle. If you shine the flashlight from this direction, you're going to get a perfect square. So while the object might look like this, their keyhole possibilities are this perfect circle here or this square here. Okay, and the same thing can be accomplished from crushing that object. You'll get a circle if you crush this way, and you'll get a square if you crush that way. All right, so let's look at a practice question. So here's that 3D object right here, and you're trying to match it to one of these 2D cutouts. And remember, it has to fit through perfectly. So go ahead and take like 10-15 seconds to try to work out this question in your head, and then I'll give an explanation. All right, so by now you should be looking at some of the things that make these answers different. Remember, it is a multiple choice exam, so use your strategies, and process of elimination is probably one of the best strategies out there. So one thing that I want to draw your attention to is there's this cutout down here. All right, so that means that there has to be a cutout here. Good, we can keep that in the running. There's not a cutout here, so we can cross out B. There's a cutout here, so we can keep C in the running. There's a cutout for D, and there's a cutout for E, but E has other things wrong with it. So we can look at the I. All right, the I is not present in A, so we know that A is the wrong answer. We know that there's a lot wrong with E, but there's no I in E, so we can cross out the E. All right, and then there's no cutout for the mouth, or there should be a cutout for the mouth down here. We don't see a cutout for the mouth in D, so we can cross that off. We also see that if we were to extend this line here and extend this line here, sorry, I'm like drawing on a touchpad, but it is like a 90-degree angle, right? So if we extend this here and extend this here, that's a 90-degree angle. This is not. This is kind of slanted compared to this line there. So we can cross out D. D is not our answer, and our final answer here should be C. Oh, yep, it was C. Great. So the next practice question, I'll give you guys a couple seconds to think about that, and then we'll go into our explanation. Remember to look at sections at a time. So look at proportions, start looking at the answer choices immediately, and start trying to cross things out.
Yeah, and definitely remember like that it can be rotated and can be fit through this keyhole in literally any way.
Totally. Like we could crush, or we could use the flashlight and go front to back, side to side, or top to bottom. So don't limit yourself to one view. All right, so let's go ahead and start walking through some of these. So the first one I want to eliminate right off the bat is the one that really just doesn't look like the other ones. So we can get rid of D. So there's no way, like if you go side to side, you might be able to get there, but this is much thinner right here than this kind of similar portion here. And this is way taller than this really short portion here. So that's not going to work. All right, the other thing that we want to look at here is there a cutout right here? And if we looked at it from the side, like this one's trying to do, there's no cutout down here. So we can cross out E as well. E is also wrong because if we did crush from like this, from this side to that side there, then we would get flat at the top because of this line right here. And this is slanted right here, so E is definitely wrong. So then let's start looking from like front to back, because that's how A, B, and C are all projected. And I want to look again down here. And you need to ask yourself, all right, is this part lifted off the ground and is there a cutout down here? And the answer to that question is no. This part is flush against the ground. This part is flush against the ground. So we know that C and A are incorrect. Note that A is also incorrect because it shows that this part here is flat, whereas we have a slant here and flat there. Whereas we have flat and flat, we have flat here, slant there, so this works. And here the slant works, but again we have to eliminate that because it's lifted off the ground, and here we have it flush with the ground. So here our answer should be B.